My job sucks. A little bit of context. I work blue collar. I don't work in a warehouse, but I stock up sodas. I put up sodas. I don't drive the trucks or nothing. I drive around to different stores and I put them up in the stores. And people don't talk a lot about how, people like you probably heard before of like warehouse jobs, they're bad and all of that. I feel like they talk about it, but they don't really talk about it. It's deeper than just putting in a lot of hours or, I'm just repeating the same tasks over and over. It's deeper than that. And that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, because it's like I don't really have anybody to talk to or like sometimes relate to when it comes to certain stuff. That's why I kind of wanted to start this whole YouTube channel, so I could just speak thoughts. And, hopefully there's other people out there that could relate to me. And, hopefully we could build like a little community or something. So yeah, my job, when I first started this job, I got talked into it. Somebody that worked at the company, he was like, yo, like I make $1,000 a week. And, at the time I was working at a grocery store. I was making $12 an hour. I was just about to turn 18. And I was like, $1,000 a week, that's crazy. I only make like 300, 400. If I work, 40 hours, which was, if you're under 18, you can't really put in that many hours. So I was like, $1,000 a week, that sounds like a lot. So going into this job, I had this car, and that was basically the only bills that I had. So that was about, $900. And I was thinking like, I'll be making $1,000 a week. $900, that's nothing. That's $300 out of my $1,000. I still got $700. That's more than I make at this job. This is perfect. I'll be making a lot of money with this job. Now, here's a little bit more context. My job doesn't give me a set hours. My job just says, you work on this day, be in at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you get off whenever you're done. We're going to give you what we think is 8 hours worth of work, and you are to be done that work in 8 hours. Now, some of y'all might be thinking it sounds cool. Some of y'all might be thinking like, I couldn't do a job like that. In my head, all I heard was $1,000 a week. So I was like, I'm not going to college. I'm not doing anything better. I might as well. Adding on to, they don't give you a set hours real quick. They tell you that you should be done in 8 hours. Not one person will spend less than 10 hours. 9-10 hours every single day. Now, 10 hours a day, 5 days a week sounds manageable, whatever. You might get 8 hours one day, 12 hours the next. It sounds okay, right? Until we start getting into like how the job works. Like I said, I work blue collar. My job is a lot of pulling stuff around, twisting and turning, bending over, picking stuff up, pulling thousands of pounds on a pallet, picking it up, putting it on frames, moving it outside. You got to deal with customers. You got to deal with managers. You got to deal with your managers. You got to drive to different places. You got to deal with the heat, the cold. It's a lot. It might sound easy through me explaining it, but it's not. I didn't get this realization until a couple of days ago when I was looking on my phone, and I was looking at old pictures of myself and old videos and me in high school. And I was so smiley. I was so smiley. I was always smiling. I was always laughing. I was always doing something to make somebody laugh or something goofy. And it's what made me who I am. And when I was looking through those videos, it just felt like I didn't recognize myself. I was just laying down and I was looking at those videos and I was like, will I ever get to experience life like that again? I have lost friends because of my job. I lost my relationship with any of my family. I'm barely home. I lost the ability to want to do things or want to go outside or want to go on vacation. Now, this was never me. When I was younger, I was very ambitious. I always wanted to be a YouTuber. I always wanted to be a streamer. I always wanted to be, in that sector. I go through stuff every day with this job that it makes me question everything. Something as simple as a product falling on my toe, or my thumb being pinched enough times, or a customer just being rude, or just walking into a store and it just smells bad. Over time, I just started to lose patience and started to be less and less nice. And sometimes it's just like I don't recognize myself. I wake up tired. I drive to work tired. I work tired. I come home tired, and I repeat the same thing. And I just tell myself, maybe tomorrow is going to be better. Maybe tomorrow's going to be the day where, the sun is shining right, maybe. These are all from today. These are all what I consume today just to get through a day of work. That is what I consume in a day just to be able to wake up enough for work. And, somehow, people still complain. People still say, I'm not doing a good job at work. I'm not, it's always something that I'm being criticized for. It'll be times where I get off work and I'm just super sore, which is basically an everyday thing. I'm sore as we speak. And sometimes I just think back to the days where I wasn't so sore all of the time, where my back wasn't uncomfortable all of the time. I've suffered, lumbar strains, glass going in my hands. Depending on who you are, this may not sound like a lot. It may sound like it's regular for you. But, this is not what I want to do in life. I do all of this, and I still question if I can spend $15 or if I can save up an extra $100 or $200 this month. But maybe someday in the next 2 or 3 months, hopefully I can go somewhere with the stream where it's like I can at least get less hours and have enough time to just rest and just do what I really want to do. Like I said, just looking at those videos of me in like high school and stuff, just really, it just reminded me like I wasn't always this dull and boring and just upset at everything. I actually had love for people. I could show people a good time. It felt like I actually had something to live for. I don't want to like make this all sad and stuff, but it's like I'm at the point where it's like I lost all of my friends. I barely talk to my dad. I barely talk to my brother, my mom. I barely go outside. So it's like I don't really have nothing else to look forward to besides streaming or making content. And unfortunately, sometimes even when I want to, I have so many creative ideas and stuff that I want to do, but even if I wanted to, I can't because I feel tired and exhausted, and nobody else understands how tired and exhausted I really am unless you worked a job like this. I hear it from my coworkers. They say they'll be driving and they'll like start hallucinating and stuff. And it's hard to explain like how exhausting a job like this can really be, especially to somebody my age. When I explain to them like, oh, I'm going to sleep at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and they're like, you're always asleep. You're 19. You could do it. Just run. Just go with no sleep. You can do it. I just got to live my life and just accept the fact that people are going to think I'm lazy. People are going to think that I'm flaking on them. People are going to think that I'm you know, I'm just always ignoring their calls or always ignoring their texts, or some days I want to talk to them or some days I don't want to talk to them. And it's like, you know, I really thought I would work this job for 6 months maximum. And then that 6 months turned into like a year. And now it's like, I don't even know. I don't have any like other like anybody else to like really like talk to or get advice from. So I'm just putting this out there really for anybody who can relate or feels like they have nobody else to talk to, and also really just myself, you know, just something to look back on. That's really the end of it. I really do wish I had something more motivational for y'all. I'm gonna try to be more consistent and post and make more videos. Let me know if y'all want to see more videos like this, or if y'all want to just see streaming content, even though I'm not really consistent with it. If you find anything of what I said just like relatable, or you feel like you have nobody to talk to, just follow my Instagram, text me, we can talk whenever. Y'all be safe, take care of yourselves.